Herbarium preparation. How to make herbarium. So, what is herbarium? So, herbarium is a collection of plants that are dried, pressed, and preserved on a herbarium sheet and arranged in a sequence according to the specific purpose for future reference, record, and study. So, herbarium is nothing but a collection of specimens that are dried and pressed. What is the purpose? For finding it a future reference, to make it for study purpose, and to find a record. For example, whenever you're going through any plant, if you find, if you are unable to find what it is, what the name of it is, if you go through this herbarium, you may find the plant name, where it is found, what's the purpose, how it is used, for what purpose it is used. So herbarium gives an idea of the particular plant what you have found if you don't know. So that is importance of herbarium. It provides a future reference. It provides a reference for something which you don't know, and it provides a pathway for a study if you're going to work out on a particular plant. That is the importance of herbarium. It's simply a collection of plants that are used for future reference and study purpose. So what are the objectives of herbarium preparation? First one is to learn the method of collection of weeds, means how to collect the weeds and how to make the herbarium and how to preserve those weeds in the herbarium. So this is the main object of herbarium preparation. The other one is to know about the common weeds, to know the information about the weeds which are found in and around your area. That is the objective of, one of the objective of this herbarium preparation. Important term in case of herbarium preparation is specimen. What is one of the specimen? Specimen is something, a plant that is free of damage, that is which is caused by either by a pest or a mechanical injury. Means the plant body which you are collecting should be free from damages. Okay, the specimen is fragmented into either two parts or three parts or more than three parts based on the plant size, and it is bent into either V shape or N shape or W shape. That means it has to be fit into the herbarium sheet. So it may be bent either of these shapes, and it has to be mounted on a herbarium sheet. For short statured weeds, it has to be collected with entire plant body, means with entire root system. If the weed or a plant body or a specimen what you collect is shorter in nature, it has to be collected with entire root system. If the plant stature is longer, then it has to be collected at least with inflorescence or with the pot, so that it is can be easily identifiable. If the plant is long, it has to be collected with inflorescence. If the plant is short, it is collected with the root system. So what are the materials required in case of herbarium preparation? First one is knife for cutting, plant press for pressing, notebook for writing information about where it is collected, when it is collected, date, etc., etc. Pencil or pens for writing purpose, blotting papers or newspapers for presses for pressing. Means you are collecting a plant body in a turgid condition. So in order to remove moisture, you are going to press it under newspapers or blotting papers to remove moisture. Next one is glue for pasting on herbarium sheet, magnifying lens in order to identify the weed plant properly, means whether it has legumes or orchils, or checking the inflorescence very closely, you are using magnifying lens. The other one is vasculum. It's nothing but a container of wood which having a lid to give the specimen in a turgid condition. Means whenever you are collecting, that plant sample should be fresh in nature. So when that fresh sample means it is turgid. So turgid means it is having moisture. So in order to keep that moisture, plant body which is having moisture, you are using vasculum. Means it is a container where the plant specimen is kept inside a wood. That is in turgid condition which is having lid. So what are the different steps in case of herbarium preparation? First step is herbarium collection. So for collecting the specimens in the herbarium, the specimen should be a plant material. Means you're talking about plant body, so weed plants, so weed identification. So the plant material is obviously plant material that has to be at flowering stage. It has to be at flowering stage, and it should be free from all damages, and it should have roots, stem, flowers, fruits. So the plant body should be intact. Means how the plant is, if you did not remove, if you externally how the plant it is, after removing also it should be similar in nature, so that it is good for herbarium collection. It should be intact. The other one is the plant sample should be fresh in nature. It should not be damaged. It should be fresh. These are the three important steps in case of herbarium collection. Next one is herbarium pressing and drying. In case of herbarium and pressing and drying, what you are going to do after collecting of a plant specimen inside newspapers or blotting papers or wooden box, you are going to keep the plant specimen and you are going to dry it out, because as you all know, you are going to collect the plant specimen at a fresh condition, means turgid condition, means water. If you do not remove the water, it will be attacked by the fungus. So you have to remove the water. In order to remove the water, you are going to press it under newspapers or blotting papers, or what you have mentioned materials, vasculum. So that is called as sweating. What is meant by sweating? Removing of moisture. So keep the specimen for about 24 hours for sweating of moisture. This is called as sweating period. Next step is the newspaper or blotting papers. They are changed regularly after 12 hours, after when it is at first incidence, and after 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours in a sequence to make the specimen completely dry. Means it has to be free from moisture. This is called as natural drying. Means after collection of 12 hours, you're going to change and you're going to keep it in other newspaper. After 24 hours, you're going to keep in other newspaper. After 48 hours, you're going to keep in other newspaper, same specimen, and you're going to remove entire moisture from the specimen. That process is called as natural drying. In case of artificial drying, what you're going to do, you're going to keep the simple specimen in a hot air oven at 62 degrees centigrade, so that entire moisture will be removed. This is called as herbarium pressing and drying. Next step is herbarium mounting. What you are going to do? Mounting means placing of a specimen on a herbarium sheet. In case of herbarium mounting, what you are going to do? When the specimen is completely dried, you are going to paste the specimen on the herbarium sheet with the help of glue or some fevistick. You are going to place the specimen. You are going to mount a specimen. After mounting, you are going to label it. Right side, this is herbarium sheet. On the right side, you are going to label the herbarium sheet with the information of a specimen. What is the name of the specimen, when it is collected, where it is collected, and what soil it is collected, what are the identifying characters, what are the uses. So all the information can be noted in case of herbarium labeling. Labeling means giving name to the specimen what you have collected. Next one is herbarium preservation. After labeling, you are going to preserve the herbarium that has to be free from insect damage or any other damage for future purpose. That is the importance of the herbarium preparation. So here you can notice 41.7, 41.7 into 26.5 is the international herbarium sheet size. So this is called a vasculum, wooden stick, wooden, that is 12 into 13 inches long. So under this you are going to place the specimen. See this here, papers or blotting papers. Inside between these papers you are going to put your specimen and you are making the it dry, sweating. You are going to make the specimen sweat. This is called as herbarium labeling. Mounting means pasting of the specimen on the herbarium sheet, and your labeling means here this is called labeling. See, that label size will be 4.5 to 3.5 inches. You are going to give the information when it is collected, where it is collected, etc. All the information regarding the specimen. So either see the specimen how it is mounted here. If the specimen is long, you can cut it into two pieces and you can mount it. If the specimen is short, along with the root system, you can paste. You have to cut. Here the specimen is long, so you have to cut it into two parts, and you are mounted on the herbarium sheet. Thick herbarium sheet should be of 11.5 to 16.5 inches, for which is used for mounting, and the specimen label space 4.5 to 3.5 on the lower right side of the herbarium sheet. Herbarium sheet size is 11.5 to 16.5 inches. This is the importance of herbarium preparation. Preservation, this technique is called as poisoning. Means what you are going to do in case of wheat specimen, once dried, after drying of the wheat specimen for longer storage, you're treating the specimen with a chemical in order to prevent it from insect attack and other organisms. What you're going to do, either of the treatment you can use, either of the treatment, three treatments mentioned here you can use. What it is, mercury chloride 25 grams mixed with cresol. This is nothing but alcohol. In that you are going to use 1 liter industrial alcohol. You are going to mix and you are going to dip the specimen in the solution, and you are going to dry it out, and afterwards you are going to mount, and the same step you can go follow for preservation. Either this or second one is mercury chloride 15 grams, phenyl crystals 10 grams dipped in 1 liter denatured alcohol, or third one is 20% lauryl pentachlorophenate in methylated spirit. Either of these three solutions you can prepare and you can dip the specimen, and afterwards you are going to dry, and afterwards you are going to mount, and afterwards you are going to preserve. The plants are re-dried, means after dipping you are going to re-dried like I mentioned earlier, like sweating period, etc. That natural drying or artificial drying, and afterwards you are going to preserve. The solutions are highly corrosive in nature, so the proper care has to be taken. You have to note it down. These solutions are corrosive in nature, hence you have to make proper care, and afterwards you are going to use, means you have to use immediately, and you have to throw it out after its usage. This is called as poison technique for longer storage. This is about in brief about herbarium preparation.